260. Hallo?
Hallo. 2,4?
Hallo?
3,4, 5,1,3.
Ich habe nichts mehr. Hier. 743. 298. Hallo.
Hallo. 4,4, ja? 8,4. Entschuldigung, wo ich die
9, 4. Super.
Kennt man den?
141. Okay. 1, 2, 9.
Welcome back to Ruhpolding, the penultimate day of action here in southeastern Germany. The atmosphere building once again. It's Saturday, the weekend is here, and we've had back-to-back days with Germans on the podiums. It's the relay that continues today with the women's 4x6 kilometre, and it is 3 times round the 2 kilometre circuit, 2 shooting stages per athlete with international bragging rights at stake. Alongside myself, Ellard, once again to guide you through it all with an expert eye is former Team USA biathlete Chad Salmela. And Chad, well, before we get into the action today, we woke to the news of the Norwegian team calling a press conference shortly after Johannes Tingesbø faced the press, sat on the podium all by himself to announce his retirement from the sport at the end of the season. 20 World Championship titles, 5 Olympic gold medals and 5 total score titles. We have to start by, of course, saying a huge congratulations to Johannes and a huge thank you as well to one of the greatest to ever do the sport.
Yeah, I mean, what can you can't think about much else. I mean, the women are walking to the start. We want to give them their attention, but at the same time, Johannes dropped a bombshell. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I certainly didn't. Now that he said it, I think I've seen the hints, and looking back over the last several months, it sure looks more understandable than it was before he said it, and I see where he came from. But we talk about that more. We got the women's relay coming up here, and this is also a very interesting start order. We've got the relatively weaker teams than we've seen. Yep, absolutely. You can see the start list on your screen. Just want to briefly read out some of the reaction from those in the sport. Martin Fourcade saying the decision shows the man is even more inspiring than the champion. Congratulations coming from Sebastian Samuelsson. Stella Holmler-Glide saying no one above, no one next. Uses the goat emoji. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey, Chad. This is all because he's decided this is the right time to spend more time with his family, focus on that. He says maintaining the #1 spot, it takes a lot out of you and the people around you, but he's motivated to finish the season with the yellow bib that he currently wears on his shoulders. I think that motivation is the biggest thing. I think that you can see the motivation wearing thin. He's pledging his motivation to the rest of the year, which I think we have to take at face value, which I think he will. But we've seen that struggle. I think even since the opening in Kontiolahti, you could see him struggling with the dominance that he's had in the past. He's still in good shape. He still can deliver wins. Just not quite the same sport as it used to be. And I think being a young father, that's understandable, and it's also very admirable.
Yeah, 2 children, and it's something that you can just see when he speaks about it, the smile immediately comes to his face. He's so proud of his role away from the sport as a dad of 2 and a real family man. So I'm sure everyone will forgive us for taking time away from the start of this women's race to focus on what arguably is one of the biggest stories to come out of the sport in quite some time, and something that will dominate the headlines as we come to the end of the season, where he will retire on home snow in Norway. And fittingly, there's a look at the Norwegian team. Chad, they were 10th here last year, and it was a precursor to then finishing 10th at the World Championships as well. Germany, obviously the attention will more than be on them. A huge win in Hochfilzen. This is a very different team though, but they have been on the podium for the last 4 races on home snow here in Ruhpolding.
Yeah, what happens this time of year with relays is you see Paula Botet going out first for France. There's a great example coming from the IBU Cup. She's had some success in Oberhof with her first victory. But far from the most likely person to start for France. Same with Germany. You've got Stephanie Scherer, who basically has she's only got a handful of starts in the World Cup in her history. She's going out first for Germany in Ruhpolding. That means Germany's got a relatively low depth chart as far as health goes for today's relay. And that's a very typical calling card this time of year in a championship season. You're going to see teams putting out less than their top athletes just to get the job done.
Well, the stadium falls completely silent. Poised and ready to go here in Ruhpolding. And we are underway, the women's 4x6 kilometre relay. And it's Sweden who wear bib number 1, Anna Magnusson, leading out the Swedish team. France with Paula Botet on this first leg. Germany, it's Stephanie Scherer, Chad, who, well, it was a long break for her before she returned. Back on the skis, back in the range for the first time since Kontiolahti in 2020, of course, before the season was curtailed due to the COVID pandemic. It's 5 years she is now back, and it was a strong performance for the woman who's leading out Germany today in the individual.
Yeah, she did very well. I think if you look at the rare start, the few starts that she's had as an athlete, it's a pretty solid performance. She was 23rd in the individual a few days ago, and Scherer she's a veteran. She's on the IBU Cup a lot, so she knows how to compete. And the great thing about putting her first is that we've always talked about this in the relays. This first leg, it doesn't go out very fast, and that is probably her weakest point. But at the same time, she throws a real hitch into my preparation because there are no statistics of her on this World Cup season. We don't know. We don't know how she compares on ski speed. You can assume that she's probably around 0, maybe 1% faster than the average of the field, just based on the depth of the German team. But it's a real question mark, and I think a lot of Germans are probably scratching their heads is, what is Stephanie Scherer doing on the start for Germany? But we do know that Julia Tannheimer is ill, and they don't have a lot of other options.
Yep, so Julia Tannheimer, she, from the translation on the German website, we do believe that there is a possibility that she could compete in Antholz. She has mild bronchitis that saw her out of the individual. She's left Ruhpolding along with Vanessa Voigt, who won't be competing in Antholz, we believe. She's gone to take an extended period of rest and then into full training before the World Championships. So they are down 2 very important figures this season, and it's Stephanie Scherer and Sophia Schneider who are the 2 who have stepped up into this team, which also contains Selina Glottien, who will be on the next leg for Germany, and Franziska Preuss, the yellow bib wearer, who is going last for Germany today. She'll anchor this quartet. When we look over from the yellow bib of Franziska Preuss and one of the athletes who is chasing her for it in Lou Jean Monod, she's not competing today, Chad, but you don't think that's a surprise not to see her included in this French quartet?
No, it's not. It's what I was talking about earlier when we started the show at the top. It is a time of year where you need to mind your P's and Q's when you're racing it out for the yellow bib. And this season gets very long. I mean, just to put it in perspective, the cross-country World Cup, FIS Cross-Country Skiing World Cup, went to a more biathlon-like schedule where they're not racing every weekend with 2 races. They pack 3 races into a schedule and then give them a couple of weeks off break in between periods. And that has really had some resonating difficulties for those athletes to race 3 races in a row. Biathlon's gotten pretty used to it, but you also can see when Johannes Tingnes-Bö comes, or when Tardieu-Bö in France, in Le Grand Bornand comes back fresh, and everybody else has been racing 2 straight days, he can win the race. And that should tell you a little bit about what the wear and tear of this schedule does to these athletes. And so when you get to a relay that, you know, you're in it within a month of the World Championships, you got people with sniffles, you're tired. It's the second week of 2 periods of racing. You're going to probably have to sit some of your superstars out of a relay and then just do the best you can. But if you think about the German, the proposition for Stephanie Scher, Selena Grotian, and Sophie Schneider, they don't have to be spectacular today. They just need to stay with the group and give Franziska Preuss a chance at the win or the podium, but I know they want the win. And they can win. They're not the favorites today. I would say France and Sweden are those favorites. But, you know, that's why we race. We have to see what happens. And I think these different orders we're seeing actually make the race quite a bit compelling.
So we have 20 athletes on the start line, or 20 in this first group, 20 bibs, 20 teams, and just over 8 seconds separating the first athlete across the 1.4 kilometre time check, which is the Swede Anna Magnusson, and the team from Kazakhstan, who are 8.2 seconds behind in 20th. And Chad, you talk, well, we obviously spoke about Lou Jean Monod being in the pursuit for the yellow bib. Elvira Öberg is as well, and you mentioned Sweden as one of the favourites, and you have to look at the mixed relay last week in Oberhof, and the blistering final 2 legs of Hanna Öberg and Elvira Öberg, and that, I assume, is one of the reasons why you're pinning them as one of your favourites, just because they're back, both the sisters are back in such good form. Absolutely,
and then you look at the aggregate of the team. You've got Anna Magnusson in this first leg. She's not a superstar, but compared to everybody in this leg, there's nobody in this leg that is really a standout better than Anna Magnusson. She's 17th ranked in the world right now. Her World Cup best ever was 2023, where she was 14th, and she had a victory that season. So Anna Magnusson just needs to deliver. If you look at the fact that Sweden had Victor Brandt in the lead leg yesterday, and then had trouble with Jesper Nelin, and they still came back to get second. Yeah. I think you look at the Swedish quartet, and they are going to be tough to beat today, even by the French. Yep, Ella Halvorsen as well, we should give a mention to on the second leg. And she had her first top 10 finish since her breakout podium in Kontiolahti in the individual at the start of this 5-day weekend here in Ruhpolding, as the athletes drop down for their first of 2 shoots, and the first, of course, in the prone position. Shooting already 20 teams on the start order. Shots going down already. Bulgaria clean on point 19, not in the graphic. They're going to leave early. Yep, Sweden are clean, and it struggles for France and Paula Botte, who 2 misses to kick things off. Germany having to go into the extra rounds as well, with Stephanie Scherler, who is now away. And well, France, Chad, left behind. Paula Botte is going to have to do a huge amount of work to get back on track here. She's still just completely stalled. You can see she'll be one of the final athletes out of the range, alongside Italy. And look at this, a penalty loop for France, and they will be right at the back of this field. This is what the biathlon relay does to great athletes. Paula Botte, World Cup winner last week in Oberhof. Penalty loop to start things off. She's going to leave the first shooting stage in close to, if not last place. Yep. And that is the brutality of the first leg of the relay. You just, you know, it throws you just a little bit off your game. It's nerve-wracking. You have people relying on you to do great work. And there's 20 teams. The favorites are in last place. This is biathlon. Yeah. This is biathlon relay. It's great. What a rare sight that is. France crossing the line in last as we come out of the last shooting stage, or the first shooting stage, shooting 1. There's a look at Anna Magnusson's first visit to the range, and Sweden leaving shooting 1 in first. Poland, the team behind, Sidolovic, who had, of course, a great day in Kontiolahti as well in the short individual. She's
2.9 seconds behind the time of Anna Magnusson, leaving shooting 1. And you can see Norway and Carolina Norton now up on the course into second place. And Deidre Irwin as well, Chad, you can see the stars and stripes there of the USA. They're holding firm in third.
Yeah, Deidre had some illness, did not go to Oberhof and was trying to train through that. She needed to stabilize her fitness, and it looks like a good decision. Deidre is very good in these situations. She can shoot quickly and hit, and she's put the United States in first place after the first shooting stage several times in her career. So this is nothing new for Deidre Irwin. She's been here and she's done this before. Anna Magnusson, though, just spectacular. No extra rounds, very quick on the shooting range. Got within 8 seconds, 8 teams. Austria in 8th right now. They're being led out by Tamara Steiner. They're weakest of their quartet. So Austria puts their weakling out first, and they're holding tight. Germany currently sitting in 10th after the shooting range. They're moving up now. Now they're in the 9th at this point.
And we will wait and keep our eyes out for Paula Botte, who you can just see now starting to make her way up this climb before the 2.9 kilometre mark as Carolina Norton decides to take on the lead for Norway. Anna Magnusson quite happy to just drop back in behind after doing much of the early work on the skis.
Well, Norway, we haven't talked a lot about them. They do have the firepower to win this relay for sure. Their real question is Uni Arneklev, who has basically struggled with her ski fitness from the very beginning. We saw her. She was on the World Cup in the opening week in Kontiolahti and then had to go away for a while just to try to find some fitness. And she hasn't really proven to have found that top fitness that she's had in the past. She'll go second. The person who's on an absolutely tear, though, is Maren Kierkegaard, who has moved up into 11th in the overall World Cup standings, and she's a youngster, just in her first 20 or so starts of the World Cup, and she's in the 11th overall spot on the standings.
Yep, 2 incredible podiums in Oberhof. It was a brilliant week for Maren Kierkegaard. Last time out in Germany, the first part of our double header. Here in Germany, they started up in Oberhof before travelling down to the southeastern border, where we find ourselves now, and it's the Norwegians who lead, but closely pursued by Anna Magnusson and Sweden. Deidre Irwin hanging on to that 3rd spot for the USA, Sidorovic in 4th.
It's a very up and down season for the Norwegian relay group. They don't have Ingrid Martanervold at this event. She's actually skipped this event and plans to rejoin the World Cup next week in Antolz. She's training just with the loss of time she's had with the heart trouble that she experienced in period 1. So Naughton, Arneklev, Kierkegaard, and Fem Steinovik now all carrying the hopes of Norway. But the Norwegian depth is solid enough. They just all need to have great performances today. And right now, Naughton has them off to a great start.
Yep, the tall figure of Carolina Norton, who is leading this train of athletes into the range for their second and final shoot for this first group.
Scherer for Germany still in that lead pack, separated by 8 seconds. 14 teams in 8.5 seconds coming into shooting number 2, led by Norway. Poland in there as well with a great start for the Poles. That is Natalia Sidorovic. We saw her in 4th place in the opening weekend in Kontiolahti, the individual.
Quick shooting from the Norwegian team. And Carolina Norton with a miss. And so it's Poland and Sweden who get away. Germany as well.
Smallest of margins, though. So Norton has the lead intact for Norway. She's following Anna Magnusson, which is bad news for everybody else because the Swedes are only packed bigger power from here on out. Irwin goes to the loop one time. Good start for her, but she went out there and tried to hang with the leaders, but probably skiing just a little bit over her comfort level, and that caused the misses in the standing shoot.
Finland having to use all their extra rounds, and Inka Hämäläinen, the 19-year-old, only just able to stay on her feet as she stumbles off the mat. France finally now clean through Paula Boutet, and well, she will have to throw down a quick and a strong final lap to try and get France in the best position possible as she hands over to Oceane Michelon after the next 2 kilometre lap.
Well, Boutet doing a little bit of damage control there, but not a ton. Takes about 4 seconds from where she was leaving the shooting range last time. And France has a big hole to dig themselves out of. Great shooting by Magnussen, 10 for 10. That's what you want to see. You want to see 0-0 when you tag the first time. And Anna Magnussen has done her job and put Sweden in the driver's seat. But now Norton, using her ski power, has overtaken the Swede. Always a great battle between Sweden and Norway, the two countries, neighboring countries, love to joust.
So it's Norway and Norton with Anna Magnussen and Sweden in behind. Then Poland with Sadolovic and Kapustova for Slovakia. Just slightly separated from the trio who are just ahead of her.
Slovakia actually has a very, very talented and deep team. They've got Paulina Batovska-Fialkova going next, the 32-year-old. She's on the podium. She nipped Jean Richard at the line in Le Grand Bernard, the Master, to get her first podium in several seasons. She's 32 years of age. She'll go next, and then she'll take to the 3-time Olympic champion Anastasia Kuzmina, who at 40 years old, trying to find that fountain of youth and come back. It's a tough task to compete with these young athletes, but Kuzmina currently ranked 68th in the overall standings. She's made her way off the IBU Cup, and you know, it's amazing. You're a 3-time Olympic champion, you decide to come back. You still have to cut your teeth on the IBU Cup and earn your spot into the World Cup, and that's exactly what Kuzmina has done.
Well, it's a brilliant opportunity, of course, for her, but for the athletes around her as well. She initially announced her retirement in 2019 before returning, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of youngsters on the IBU Cup who watched her race as they were growing up and have had the opportunity at the start of this season to race alongside her before she made the step up. And
fall there by
Switzerland. And Elisa Gaspalan, who thankfully we've seen her get back up to her feet.
Now Magnussen trying to assert the control back on the latter half of this lap. Norton came out firing, but Magnussen seemed fine to just follow, and now forcing the pace a little bit, trying to drop Sidorovic to the pole and put time also on Slovakia.
Yeah, they've certainly done the latter. Yeah, Slovakia now more than disconnected from this trio. As we see Gasparin there.
And I love this group. I love the last loop of her first leg of a relay. They've chilled out the first lap. They've shot their shots, but you see a lot of people charging forward and dropping down in this last lap as the maybe some of the stronger skiers struggled on the shooting range. You see Scherer there for Germany. Everybody's going to be watching her intently. She's dropped to 9th, 24 seconds back at 5.4K. So they're about 600 meters to the exchange number 1. And Germany trailing by 24 seconds. I think Scherer has done a good job. She's hit 9 for 10, used 1 extra round, and trailed by 24 seconds. Because a lot of the teams in between Germany and the front of the order really don't have the quartet to challenge them and stay there.
Well, that looked like an attack, and it is from Sidolovic, who is keen to put Poland in the best position she can. And it will be Poland who come into exchange first. Not much between her and Carolina Norton, who is now trying to pull alongside Anna Magnussen, who's in the blue and yellow suit of Sweden, and is also trying to find space to find the second leg athlete for Sweden.
Poland will go with Camilla Took second, and then Norway will tag off to Juni Arneklev. We talked a little bit about her. And Ella Halvorsen had a great individual earlier in the week, showing that she's still on form after a spectacular period 1. Nice leader group in this top 3 teams. Pretty well matched. Camilla took one of the most experienced of the Poles. She's currently ranked 50th in the overall standings.
And there's 20 seconds then back to the next athletes who are handing over, and it's Latvia who will go through exchange 1 in 4th, Bulgaria 5th, Canada 6th, Finland in 7th now. Germany still in 9th, and they're over 25 seconds now off the pace of our leaders, Norway.
With Selina Grotian and Sophia Schneider, they have to just stick with the shooting, keep Germany on the shooting range as clean as possible. They have one extra round by their first leg skier, and she's done. Stephanie Scherer has done her job, and this is one that is going to be disappointed on the end of the day. 1+3 for France. Only 3 extra rounds with that penalty loop takes so much time, and now France, not at the back of the field, but still far enough back that it's a problem. 4 seconds back.
Deidre Owen handing over to Margie Freed. The USA just behind France in 15th.
So this is Kamila Tuk now, going for Poland. Her personal best individual result in World Cup competitions back in 2019. She had kind of her best career. If you look at her overall standings in the World Cup, Kamila Tuk was at her best back in 2019-2020. Finished the season 38th overall. She's currently in 3rd right now, but hasn't been in the top 50 in the overall World Cup standings until this year, which she's 50th right now.
Yeah.
So
she's not too far away in terms of how she's performed from that personal best. She had 8th in the sprint in Nancy-Le-Grand-Bonnard. So in terms of that personal best being 6th, only 2 places behind that, and she's got a task to try and stick with the Swede and the Norwegian. It's Ella Halvorsen fighting her way up this climb.
Yeah, it's going to be a big task. She's 2% slower on the skis than both Halvorsen and Arneklev. Arneklev slower than the pole, but the two skiers following Ella Halvorsen about 1% or 2 slower than Halvorsen herself. But the real disadvantage comes in the shooting for Suk. She's a 73% shooter, whereas Halvorsen's 85%, Arneklev is 80. So advantage Norway and Sweden here. And there is Batovka Fialkova. First time on the course this weekend since being on the podium in Le Grand Bernard. Grotian in the middle of that pack in the black suit for Germany with the fire orange left leg.
Yeah, and crucially, Batovka Fialkova, who is in 4th. This group who are trying to pursue our leading trio, they've actually fallen back in terms of time. Their leader out of exchange 1 in the chase pack was 21 seconds down. They're now 25 seconds down, this pack, who are trying to chase down Sweden, Norway and Poland.
Looking back at leg 1, obviously Carolina Norton tagged off first. She'll get the prize money for that first tag. Every leg of this relay gets a prize, cash prize for the fastest leg. So motivating a lot of athletes to actually give it their best, even if they're further back in the field. I like that initiative. I think it's a new initiative for giving kudos to athletes who perform well within their team's situation, regardless of where they are in the field.
Yeah, new this season. There's extra prize money for the next 2 seasons as well. That prize pot growing year on year. And I see the athletes in the chase group come through now. 22 seconds, and it's Suvi Minkkinen who has had a spectacular first trimester and has carried it through into 2025. Making history in the single mixed relay with Telo Seppälä, the first mixed competition win for Finland in their history. And what a day it was, and she's doing the job of the trailing group and trying to cut the time, and with her in 4th place at the minute, she is doing her job well in cutting the time.
So coming into the shooting number 3, the first shooting of the second leg, 12 teams within two missed shots, 2 loading shots, about 12 seconds to load an extra round, about 23-24 for penalty loop. You still got basically 12 teams still really in the medal picture. This race is far from over. Halvorsen again, a 89% prone shooter in the yellow and blue. Arneklev 91% prone shooter, and Kamila Tuk 73. So a big drop off in statistics from the first 2 skiers on the mats. to the one in red and white for Poland.
And you can see the train now roll in behind them.
Miss for Sweden. Door open for Norway.
Another miss for Sweden, and Norway going clean in the prone position. Well, Ellard Halvorsen will have to load the extra rounds. 3 misses for Poland and Camilla Zook. Start for Germany.
Good composure so far by Ellard Halvorsen, but Finland with Suvi Minkkinen moves up, and she's clean 5 for 5. She's going to challenge for the podium now and put the Finns in the mix.
Yep, Germany away now. Selina Grotian. Canada going clean.
Germany making time on the leaders, but she's got Latvia and Beva Ndika in between her and the third spot of the podium. But Grotian now 24 back, still where they were, but a little closer to the podium now. Here's Océane Michelin trying to get France back into this relay.
And a good day so far for Emma Lunde.
Canada in 6th. It's a great start for them.
14th in the individual with just 1 miss on the day. 19 out of 20 as France now gets away. One dip into the extra rounds for Océane Michelin.
Lunde currently sitting in 58th in the overall World Cup standings. Her best career season was back in 2023 when she was 23rd. Has no individual podiums, but has been 4th once, 5th twice, and 6th. So Lunde can deliver a world-class performance. She's got Canada in the mix here, halfway through leg 2. And shooting at Minkkinen.
Yep, catapulting Finland up the order.
She is so in the groove. You can just see she's got very stable position. The recoil of the shot, there's like no reaction from the muscles in her body. The rifle just, it's on a pedestal, the shot goes off and it bumps up and drops right back into position. That is exactly what you want to see from a prone shooting as far as the pictures go. Minkkinen is in her groove right now and can put Finland in pole position. And she's not the only Finn that is crushing it this year.
No, she's not indeed. And well, she is leading the way. Ellard Halvorsen in behind her.
But they will wish they had Venla Lehtinen going last. They've got Noora Kaisa Keränen, 23-year-old with no real World Cup points this season.
Yeah.
Going Lehtinen, not sure why she's not on the start, but you have to expect if she's not on the start today, she's probably either resting up or nursing something. We haven't seen Lehtinen compete, I don't think, this week. So the Finns, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Suvi Minkkinen leading the chase. It's Juliana Clive who is through 8.9 kilometres first for Norway. And the group behind, and look at the job of Selina Grotian as well. She'll just be outside the medal positions as things stand on the second leg here.
The Norwegians maybe perhaps feeling the lack of expectation without Vanderbilt on the start order. They're great. They got 2 zeros next to their name through 3 shooting stages. That's the key. You just got to keep those 0 zeros or keep that number as small as possible. But that's the difference. Arne Klein, two extra rounds for leg number 1 in Naughton, but Naughton had great skiing to tag first.
And everyone's got a bit of the glitter on their cheekbones, all opting for the sparkly highlighter today. Good to see unity amongst the coaches as well. As it's Juliana Clive, who, of course, carries us through 9.4 kilometres.
Anna Magnusson was perfect for Sweden on the shooting range, and Ellard Halvorsen has 2 extra rounds in the first prone. You can see Ellard Halvorsen, though, just has another gear on the skis compared to the group she's skiing with. Dancing up that hill.
Yeah, Elena Haki-Gross tucked in there as well on this leg for Switzerland.
But look how labored the people chasing Ellard Halvorsen look by comparison. So, you know, but the thing to remember here is that this hill does not determine how you win the race. It really comes down to whether you've got the composure on the shooting range. Ellard Halvorsen buying herself some time with her fitness I mean, this is the classic biathlon conundrum. Do you hang with some slower athletes, give them that time, or do you take the time out of them? Ella Halverson choosing to try to use a little more energy to maybe draw Suvi Minkin and Baiba Bandika and Selina Grotjian off sides. Into the range they come for a second time in leg 2 now.
Yeah, I'm just looking a little bit further back down the field. Oceane Michelon in 13th for France. Of course, 1 penalty loop and 4 misses. She's 62.3 seconds down on the pace of Uniana Clive, who we see now coming into the range for her standing shoot.
So the French moving up the order in rank, but not gaining any time, actually losing time from the exchange. The French exchanged at 54 seconds. They're now back at 102 back, so.
And Lena Haki-Gross has come in way too fast into that corner and has been made to pay for it. Thankfully, stopping herself before she went into the advertising hoardings there, because, well, that would have been quite the collision, and she will have to really compose herself now as she comes towards the range and this final shooting stage for her.
That is a tough thing to shake off when you come to shoot. You just had a rush of adrenaline. As Norway misses. Arne Clive, weakest of her 2 shooting bouts. She's a 69% shooter. She does much better than that at 90 or at 80% off the first 5 shots.
But Selina Grotjian goes 5 for 5, and Germany are back up and in it now. Finland are away with Suvi Minkkinen. Sweden stumbling with Ella Halverson with 3 misses.
Halverson, 81% on average. Now just trying to stay out of the penalty loop, way below her average standing shooting. And rough time for Ella Halverson. She's knocking every target down, trying to do damage control. 15 seconds now lost by the Swede. And she gets all with the extra rounds, limiting the extra time, but just not composed to the level she needed to be to keep them in the lead.
Yeah, and well, all 3 extra rounds used by Lena Haki-Gross, but she is able to compose herself enough to avoid going into the penalty loop, which is incredibly admirable from the Swiss athlete after taking a tumble on the final corner.
There's Arne Clive. Really great performance for her. She needs something to hang her hat on this year, and this might be the performance she does. Just nailing that extra round. That was really great stuff. Here's Grotjian now. She went 5 for 5. And the pressure mounts for Sophia Schneider now for Germany. Group of 3 at the front. And led by Grotjian now.
Yeah, well separated from Estonia. And Kulm, who is in 4th place and 17.7 seconds back, leaving the range.
I think back to this spot last lap and how good Ella Halverson looked. And this is the thing as a coach and as an athlete you have to be aware of. When you are skiing at your very best, it's so easy to just slightly overdo it in this sport. And Ella Halverson learned that the hard way today. She could have just hung with the group and now used, on the last loop, maybe used the prowess of her skiing to pull away. She tried to pull away in the second loop, and she got stung at the shooting range. She got all the targets down, but lost significant time. She's 31 seconds back now.
Yep. And, well, the pressure once again falling on the shoulders of the Urberg sisters, who, like in the mixed relay in Oberhof, will have work to do. As you can see, Ella Halverson just starting this climb that our trio are rounding the top of.
I actually think that this is not a bad situation for Sweden. I think that Hanna Öberg chasing rather than being chased psychologically with the season she's had and the fitness she's currently showing, I think it's a good thing for her to be chasing, not being chased psychologically. And we've seen Elvira Öberg awesome at pursuing. She went from 37th to 3rd in the last pursuit competition.
23.2 seconds down. So Ella Halverson, the time that she's putting down on the skis at the minute is pretty fast indeed, taken almost over 7 seconds off the time of the leaders after leaving shooting 4 and getting to 10.9 kilometers. Here's Poland, who well, we're well up and in it, but Kamila Zuk dropping down to 10th.
you can always think about ways you could have done it better. But I think with Ella Halverson, she's feeling the fitness. She made the right choice. It just shows you the paradox of this sport. But she's still using that ski speed to put Sweden right back in contention. Here she is, 31 down at the shooting range, but just eating up this last lap of the relay course.
.5 seconds now the difference between Ella Halverson and our leaders.
And great to see the Estonians in there in 5th place. That's cool. Estonia ranked 12th in the standings. Susanna Kuhlm currently ranked 53rd in the overall standings of the World Cup, having an outsized performance today as Germany and Finland do battle for the lead of this relay.
Yep, France now 58.1 seconds back. As Suvi Minkkinen and Selina Grottien swing round the corner and into exchange. Trying to give every last tenth of a second that they can to get their teams over the line. As Norway trail.
Well, Norway goes to their strongest athlete of their quartet, while Germany and Finland go to so strength. If you look at Sophia Schneider, she's currently ranked 67th. She's a 78% shooter, which is not terribly strong, but she is a fast skier, equal to Ella Halverson on ski speed at -3. Here's Hanna Öberg now, going 3rd for Sweden, and the gap is certainly one that Sweden can eat up.
Yep. 21.3 seconds at the exchange as Ella Halverson hands over to Hanna Öberg. Lena Häcki-Gloss will be happy to see the end of that race as she hands over to Aita Gaskolan. And so picks up the charge for Canada, who sits in 9th.
Great performance by Emma Lunder from Canada, keeping Canada in the mix at the exchange, currently in 9th spot, just 37 seconds back. If you look at the time back in this, where we're sitting at halfway mark, there are 10 teams there are 12 teams within a minute. That any one of those teams can win.
Yep.
It's just a question of what level of athlete do you have going in the 34th legs. Leinamo, arguably Finland's 3rd best biathlete. Again, Venla Lehtinen not on the start for them, but Leinamo has done well this season, already having her personal best finishes. Leinamo was 8th in the sprint in Oberhof, shooting clean. So that tells you just last weekend the woman in 2nd spot was in the top 10.
Yep, and
World Cup best.
Yeah, her previous best before that was 27th in the sprint in Kontiolahti. So, you have to say, I think all of the Finnish women who are competing on the circuit at the minute, she's smashing her personal best and continuing to really grow into this season. And for all of particularly the Finnish women, it has been a real season of stepping up and development in the right direction.
Sophia Schneider, by contrast, has come off the IBU Cup onto the World Cup in Oberhof. She was 35th in that same sprint, but had 4 misses, so she tells you she can ski. 35th with 4 penalty loops is a pretty solid ski performance, but this is a relay. You need to put those targets down. That's really the task for Sophia Schneider. Clearly she can ski with Leinamo and even with Kirkeide, but the shooting is the issue.
Yep. And so our trio over 12.9 kilometres, and we'll keep your eyes on the clock here and just how far back we find Sweden and Hanna Öberg. 14.3 seconds. The gap was 20 seconds when they left the exchange, and it's now 14.3 seconds. It's a statement of intent, to say the least, from Hanna Öberg.
Clearly the skiing form is back. I wasn't sure where it was in the early period 1, but she's back to where she's. And look at the skis of Kirkeide, sitting in a tuck past the German and the Finn The Norwegian wax technicians have nailed the skis for at least Martin Kierkegaard. That was almost a silly picture.
Yeah.
And it's got to make your heart sink a little bit when you're one of the other two athletes.
Yep, the glide of Kierkegaard there. Pretty spectacular. As the Norwegian now leads this trio up to 13.4 kilometers. Malin Kierkegaard first over the line. Schneider across in second. Leinamo in third. She's keeping pace and clinging onto this group, but the imposing figure of Hannah Öberg is rallying behind, and that time will be cut, will it, once again? It's 15 seconds now, so she hasn't been able to gain any time. Of course, since the last time check, they have been mostly climbing.
I think of Jaws. Have you ever seen Jaws? Yeah,
Yes.
you hear the music. Coming, roaring in. The fin out of the water, here comes the Swedes.
It has to be, doesn't it? Because that's how they've done it on both the men's side as well. We saw it, but perfect example of it in the mixed relay. Again with the men yesterday, they came back from the depths of 13th to finish second. And it just seemed to be the way that this is how the Swedes like to operate this season. They don't mind if they have a leg that isn't where they want it to be, because they'll quite happily sit there and chase. In terms of pursuits, it's obviously a great sign for them and the rest of the season.
And I think for Hannah Öberg, this is the perfect situation as her fitness starts to come back.
Yeah.
Puts her in a competitive situation, a little more pressure, but not so much pressure that she has to hold the lead. She's trying to grab the lead. And that's all the difference in mentality as she comes in. She's trailing by 15 seconds with these three. And all three of these athletes really not, even Kierkegaard, who's having a bang-on season, is really not used to this situation where you're trying to shoot for the lead in a relay. And Leinamo certainly has never felt this kind of pressure. And the German, you're in Ruhpolding. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Prone shooting now. Back to prone. Kierkegaard leading for Norway.
Look at Leinamo go here, and just a miss on the last. But those around her have stumbled too, and Sweden are off with a miss as well. Hannah Öberg. Finland are away in the lead. And who will join them next? It will be Germany and Norway at the same time.
Oh, and another miss for Hannah Öberg. Not as easy as we thought.
Slovakia back in it now. Away clean.
So Kuzmina and Hannah Öberg will form a bond and try to catch the three ahead of them. 5 seconds separating the top three now.
When you look at it though, Hannah Öberg is now only 17 seconds down. She came in, where did she come in? 14 seconds behind. So in reality, she hasn't lost a huge amount of time, Chad, there.
She just lost the opportunity to take the lead.
Yeah.
She still can do, but you know, a little bit pensive there when you miss the extra round. That's always a little bit nerve-wracking. There we see France finally, Justine Braissard-Boucher. She's going to try to get France at least within striking distance. She's at 42 seconds back. They're chipping away at it, but will it be enough? Because Julia Simon going last, and Braissard-Boucher gets through with clean shooting in her weaker of the two shooting bouts.
Well, when we talk about people who love a pursuit, Julia Simon is one of those. So I think France will take some comfort in that, and obviously Braissard-Boucher being, well, she's third fastest on the skis this season, -6 skiing. But as you rightly say, Chad, they're still 47.8 seconds behind, leaving shooting 5 and find themselves in 10th.
I think the French need lots of melting down at the front of the field. If you look at Sophia Schneider, that's kind of the big question to me for Germany. Can she overcome her 72% hit average in the standing shooting to keep Germany in it? Leinamo will likely fade, the Finns will likely fade in the fourth leg as they have Nora Kaisa-Keränen, a 23-year-old with very little experience on the World Cup, going last for the Finns. And it'll be a great experience for her, but you know, whether she can come through with it. I mean, we've never called Keranen's name. Her World Cup best is 28th last season in Onto. So it's not like she's a complete greenhorn. She certainly can deliver something for the Finns, but the Finns kind of in a renaissance of sorts in women's, well, in all biathlon, Salmela also with the win with last weekend in Oberhof in the single mixed relay with Suvi Minkinen. It's really high times for the Finns here.
It is indeed. Saw a really strong performance in the individual for the men for Otto and Vinius, who just 6 days ago had posted on Instagram saying how much of a challenge the first part of the season had been. He'd had highs and lows. You know, he's really highly tipped, and managed just a few days after posting that message to come back really strongly. They're building something very exciting, the Finnish team, and they are leading as we have eyes on Justine Bressard-Boucher there.
I've been calling biathlon for about 25 years. I can't remember the Finnish team leading in leg 3 in a women's relay.
Yeah.
It probably is a time. Somebody will correct me, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yep.
So
And
this is a big deal.
yeah, I think that's where the smiles of Ellard Kolstad, we saw a shot of the Finnish coach there, and he looked very happy with the progress. And even if, as we see, Elena Mo just drop back slightly there and let the Norwegian and German go past her, I think even just that is a statement. That picture of Finland leading on leg 3 is, as a picture, is enough to be excited about. As Malin Kirkaida, in the form of her life, takes the lead from Sophia Schneider and Sonja Lehnermo.
And the young Norwegian coach in charge of this Finnish team is a huge testament to him. And people talk about it. They know. If we're noticing it, I guarantee you, people even closer to the sport notice what he's done with that Finnish team. And it's building his credibility as a star maker, as a coach.
Yeah, and a lot's being said around the team as well by the athletes on the role of course, the waxing department and the waxing team that followed them as well, the technicians who there's such a variety of the stages of their lives, where they come from, and they're all pulling together to create some really good things on the skis for the athletes, as we see our leading trio once again.
Kirkaida setting the pace. Wise of Sophia Schneider to just follow the pace set by Kirkaida and try to manage it. Come in with as much composure as you can. The pressure's all on Kirkaida. Germany, obviously pressure there, but the least amount of pressure on Lehnermo, even though she might feel it. The Finn really just hitting way above their fighting weight, the Finns today. And Lehnermo just trying to keep them on the track.
And look at that, completely still, Chad.
Yeah, anything you're going to miss today, you can blame it on the nerves.
So into shooting 6th, and it is Hannah Urberg who trails by 10.2 seconds, but the gap closing, and well, she finds herself in a really good spot here. Yeah, indeed.
The pivotal shooting point of this relay so far, as they get closer to the end, and the pressure mounts.
Well, how do you like that? Sophia Schneider, 5 for 5.
Oh, and a miss by Urberg. Could challenge for the lead, but Finland in big trouble now.
Yep, and well, Sweden will go second with Hannah Urberg, who's climbed her way up spectacularly. Norway are now away with Malin Kirkaida. And it's at least one penalty loop for Finland.
We swear we didn't have an earbud in her ear on that lap. She's just, this is tough stuff. It's really,
yeah, 2 now.
France trying to get back into the picture for a podium finish now. So Finland to the loop. Their hopes come crashing down in the 6th shooting stage of this relay. Thank you for playing. We'll see you again. We'll see you again somewhere down the road. That was a nice performance by Finland so far, though. It's been really fun to watch their improvement in this sport.
And we know from being around the conversations in the Finnish team when we were in Le Grand Bonnard in France before Christmas, and you know they'll see this as learning opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no downside. I mean, like you said before, you have to fail a few times before you're going to succeed in that situation. And Lena Mo, that's nothing to hang her head about.
So Sophia Schneider leading by 15.2 seconds, coming out of shooting 6 from Hannah Öberg. And well, this is setting up a final leg, a spectacular final leg where Elvira Öberg will go up against Franziska Preuss.
Numbers 1 and 3 in the overall standings, and they know each other well. But the difference is going to be the German crowd is going to blow the roof off the stadium if the Germans can take this home. Hannah Öberg lurks. As does Kirkeide.
Yep, Kirkeide not too far behind. She was 19 seconds down, leaving shooting 6, and particularly on Hannah Öberg, I do feel like maybe she's closed the gap slightly there. We'll get confirmation on whether she has as they come through the time check at 16.9 kilometers.
Oh, she has.
So Hannah Öberg, wow, 8.8 seconds behind Sophia Schneider. She left 15.2 out of shooting 6. And Malin Kirkeide as well doing an excellent job to take the time down to 13.2 seconds off the pace of our leader Schneider.
Hannah Öberg knows she's got to give her sister as much, as close of a tag as she can to Franziska Preuss, not let the Germans get away. And at this pace, if she's taken half of the 15 seconds off at this point in the lap, you're likely going to see Hannah Öberg and maybe even Malin Kirkeide enter the stadium with Sophie Schneider at the exchange. It's going to be off the hook, I think, with the crowd noise when they come into the stadium. Yeah,
it's going to be close indeed. You look at Gaspelan as well. She's in 4th, 25.4 seconds. And then not too far behind her, Justine Blaissard-Boucher, 37.3 seconds down. And, well, we know how much Julia Simon loves to chase. And, well, the French will be trying to get her in the best position possible for that final leg.
Well, it's definitely closing. You can see these three athletes kind of coming together like an accordion. Sophia Schneider's got the lead, but very tentatively.
An excellent way of putting it there, Chad. Sophia Schneider will have to keep her head about her here as this is Aita Gaspelan.
Yeah, let's not forget about the Swiss. Their final leg is coming off of a podium finish earlier this week in the individual.
Yeah.
Amy Baserga. She could figure into it. If the pressure's too high at the front, Swiss are going to be there to scoop your medal.
Yeah, and despite it being that first podium of her career, she did look in really good form in Oberhof. The signs were there that she was due a big personal best, and performing well in the single mixed relay as well was Amy Baserga for 4th for the Swiss team. So they sit in 4th at the minute and are far from out of this.
The Korean is completely compressed. 3 teams together, and now the Swede has gone past the German, and we are going to have a spectacular final leg of this relay.
This is it's been set up perfectly. Hannah Öberg will hand over to her sister Elvira, who has come into some excellent form as well. The jostling for space, position, and getting in the right place. You can see happening there as Malin Kirkeide has to shift her way across to hand over for Norway. Stanovic wearing the blue bib number 4, and Franziska Preuss on this final leg. The total score leader on the women's side is Blaissard-Boucher, giving it everything to try and put Julia Simon in the best position. Switzerland, though, will hand over ahead of France.
What a task for Ragnhild Stanovic, the 29-year-old who just came off the IBU Cup, where she was 2nd in the pursuit in Oak Harbor, got the start here in Ruhpolding, and she gets thrown into a relay. Final leg humdinger with the two of the 3 best biathletes in the world right now.
Yeah, and well, you can't, of course, exclude Julia Simon as well, who will be on the chase. As Estonia come through in 7th and Austria in 8th.
This is so great about this is France is back now at 28.3 seconds back. You've got Switzerland 24 back. there's no room for Sweden and Norway and Germany to just relax either. They're not guaranteed a podium right now. There are two teams right within striking distance if any of these three teams in the front of the field falter.
As we see Lithuania lapped.
Pulled from the competition. But look at Franziska Preuss is letting them go. I'm not sure this is smart of Femsteinovik to try to hang with the speed of the Swede. She's an 80% prone shooter, 77% standing shooter for 79. Uberg is an 83% overall shooter, and Preuss, of course, one of the best in the field, 97% prone, 90 total, 83 standing. Preuss is going to just do as little as she can to keep close without going over.
Yeah, well, that's the experience of Franziska Preuss when, in comparison, you look at Femsteinovik and the decision to go with and try and match Elvira Urberg, you imagine, will be one that either makes or breaks her.
Yeah, it's just a tough place to be when you're not at that level of these athletes and you're thrown in this situation. You know, you don't want to let them go. You have to kind of mark the situation, and then you just kind of throw a Hail Mary and hope for the best that you can maintain your composure and your focus on the shooting range. But this is a tall order for Femsteinovik. If she can pull this off, it'll be one of the greatest performances of the season. Simone catches and passes Baserga now of Switzerland. They were separated by just 3 seconds at the exchange.
Well, side by side, it is Julia Simon and Amy Baserga with 3/10 of a second between them now. And Julia Simon 30.2 seconds behind. And Chad, well, we've spoken so many times about the world record performance of Elvira Urberg coming from 37th up to a podium finish in 3rd in Oberhof. But you have to imagine if France can pull off the spectacular here and find their way onto the podium after dropping down to rock bottom and 20th, that would be something. It's hard to imagine, but it would be an exceptional performance.
Yeah, this is far from over. I'm not going to count France out of this. They have a shot here. The amount of pressure on these three athletes that you can almost expect some misses, at least from the less experienced Femsteinovik. But again, she might prevail here. Julia Simon is so good in pressure situations and fast shooting and forcing the hand of somebody like Amy Baserga, who's less experienced at the front of the field. She can create that dynamic for herself. Not so much for the people in front of her, but she can pounce if there's any sign of weakness from the top three. France could still win this relay.
Well, that would be it would be spectacular from the depths of 20th up to 1st. But you have 3 very strong performers standing in their way, including the yellow bib and total points leader of Franziska Preuss.
First of 2 shooting stages for the final leg. The pressure just keeps growing. Pensive moments in the shooting range. German fans know exactly what they're looking at. Who will be the first to crack? Boy, sets her elbow very quickly onto the mat.
And Germany away with Franziska Preuss.
Cold-blooded shooting by the German. And the crowd reacts, and look at the reaction of the 2 athletes chasing her. 2 misses by both Sweden and Norway. Preuss is away at free and clear.
And she's going to have quite some lead here as Julia Simon, an opportunity for her to latch onto the back of this group. Norway away now, it's a miss for Simon. That will set her back some margin.
Femsteinovik gets away. And now
And a
Elvira Öberg with a penalty loop.
A penalty loop for Sweden and Ellard Öberg. The door opens for Julia Simon, who will go into a medal position with France.
Door open for France, wheels off for Sweden. 35 seconds back now.
What a spectacular story this is for the French women's team, who have seen the men make history for the first time, going 3 for 3. Three-peat, as it was put by Emilia Jacquelin yesterday, to use footballing terms. Austria and Lisa Talisa Hauser. That's really good shooting from her.
Well, if you think you can predict the future in the sport, good luck. I've been doing this for so many years, and I would have predicted Öberg to come out of this with the lead ahead of everybody else. But look at Preuss, so composed, so quick, forcing the issue with everybody, just basically saying, keep up with me if you can, and nobody could.
Yeah, we had the conversation earlier today, didn't we, Chad, about Lou Jean Monod not racing in this relay, and we spoke about the possibility that actually racing in the relay and this consistency and these opportunities are actually really good, despite the extra toll it puts on the body of the yellow bib holder. She just seems to thrive in these conditions.
She does. I mean, she's crumbled in the past. I don't think she's out of the woods yet, but I think that this lead that she has just buys her the time, and she's had so much experience on the podium this year that I think the wins, the confidence she's built this season alone is enough to help her through this pressure situation where the crowd is just going to be waiting on bated breath for her to take this victory home. The Germans, so long since they've won a relay at home in Ruhpolding.
Well, you said it's so hard to predict. We can ask Oliana Blondalen to borrow maybe his crystal ball, because in the run-up to this week he said that he thought Franziska Preuss would be back to her December form in Ruhpolding. She knows Ruhpolding inside and out, lives and trains here, but the pressure will be high. The Germans need to live with it, and well, he sure predicted right.
The last time the German women won a Ruhpolding relay was back in 2018. That's how long it's been. And that was Franziska Preuss was on that team.
Yeah.
She went first for Denise Hermann-Vick, Franziska Hildebrand, and the great Laura Dahlmeier. That was a absolutely star-studded group that won that relay. This is a little less celebrated group of people if they come across the line first.
Well, Amy Beserga still in the battle here for third place with Switzerland. And well, she'll try to keep breathing down the neck of Julia Simon, Elvira Öberg. You can see that one penalty loop next to her name. But it is all about Franziska Preuss and Germany today. The gap at 20.9 kilometers was 12.9 seconds back to Femsteinovik.
Femsteinovik just has to hold it together now. She has dodged the biggest bullet there in the prone shooting. She's 80% standing shoot, or prone shooter, 77% standing. But this is just all about being tough and being mentally tough, as now France and Switzerland have a great battle for the third spot.
Amy Beserga can take so much confidence from that podium, first career podium on the World Cup, third in the individual. And on the 24-year-old, it was far from a fluke. She was looking incredibly strong before that as well. And well, 0.7 of a second separate her and Julia Simon, with Elvira Öberg looking to tag onto the back of this group now.
All by herself. No real change since leaving the shooting. Femsteinovik closing about 6 seconds, but I think this is just Franziska Preuss not pushing the envelope, knowing what she has and just trying to manage it. Those 6 seconds really not that critical for Preuss at this moment. Dead calm shooting. Perfect conditions for shooting. And just listen to the crowd. They will fall to a deadly silence when Preuss raises her rifle to shoot the final time.
So
for the
here
win.
we go. Yep, Franziska Preuss for the win.
Oh, you can see she's nervous. Her first hit, such a confidence builder. Great composure.
And for the first time since 2018, Germany will win on home snow here in Ruhpolding. Franziska Preuss, call as you like.
Missed by Femstanovic. Still a good performance for her. Just has to nail this last shot. She misses it a second time. Opening the door now ever so slightly for Switzerland and Norway, or Switzerland and France. Sweden in the range as well. Femstanovic avoids disaster. Julia Simon fires away to take
that is so quick from Julia Simon. We barely got an opportunity to see any of her shots. Amy Beserga 5 for 5, not far behind her as Elvira Erberg, things just not going her way at all today in terms of shooting. And she'll trail by quite some margin.
If you look there when she went for her extra round, Elvira Oberg looked just to her right to see who was leaving. And that tells you everything about what happened to her. She's thinking about what's going on. She still has a chance to catch fourth, but she's a long way from third.
You have to say, what an exceptional performance for France to bring this back from 20th to a podium position.
This is great. This is the best relay we've seen this year, men or women. It's just an absolute pressure cooker the whole way through. And Preuss is going to have a festive Ruhpolding, going to deliver a festive Ruhpolding tonight.
And it will be back-to-back wins as well, which is crucial for the Germans. A very different look team as well, Chad, from that took top spot for the first time in 4 years in Hochfilzen. But it really just shows the depth that the Germans have at the moment.
Yeah, it swings the momentum back their way. They were, I mean, think about it. They had to go to a IBU Cup athlete to go leg one, and they still take the win. This is a huge amount of momentum going into the World Championship month for the German women's team. And this athlete, she's been through so much. Franziska Preuss has had so many setbacks, and to do this at home, to take home the German relay team, she was on the last team to win here. And she was the youngster then. Now she is the wily veteran. This just makes you feel good.
It is an exceptional feel-good story. As she's caught behind some traffic and a lapped athlete.
Oh, and Femstanovic trying to do all she can to hold off Julia Simon. Simon looks pretty good on the skis. She's dropped Amy Beserga. You can see the body language between the three skiers. Simon is definitely the strongest of the three. Femstanovic just have to at least hold off Amy Beserga for the podium now. Simone charging, but we've seen Simone charge a little too hard early in the loop, cramp up, and almost take the wheels off herself.
Yep, the last time Julia Simon was on a final leg this season was those pictures as she came over the top of the wall in Contiolate, grasping at her calf, and only just made it over the line. Really had to fight hard to get France over the line in that one in a podium position.
Franziska Preuss's significant other, Simon Schempp, called it a career about 4 or 5 years ago. He was a silver medalist in that spectacular mass start Olympics in Pyeongchang, where he lost by just a photo finish to the great Martin Fourcade. Simon Schempp, one of the greatest biathlon, one of the participants in one of the greatest Olympic biathlon finishes in history. Simone charging. And Simone trying to now, you can see Femstanovic and Simone on the same hill. So Femstanovic is in trouble. Preuss is free and clear at 25 seconds ahead.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on the gap back to Amy Beserga as well, but it seems it's growing. Yeah, it is indeed. 41.4 seconds behind Franziska Preuss, and the gap between her and Julia Simon and Femstanovic as well, opening up as well. So you imagine at this rate, Norway more than secure in a podium position, but will France be able to bump them down into third? Well, what 3 days it's been for the German crowd here. Back-to-back podium finishes for German athletes, and they replicate and go one further again today. The first time since 2018, she has the time to grab the flag. Franziska Preuss is back to her best and anchors the German team to victory. Once again, back-to-back victories now for the German women, who show that regardless of who they have on the team, they can still get the job done. And Franziska Preuss, crucial in that today. 10 out of 10, perfect. Franziska Preuss, well, she can take a bow, as well as the Norwegian, who has the job done for second.
Great job by that Norwegian quartet to come in second place in this. All the pressure. And they did just a wonderful performance. And France into third.
You have to say, it looked on so many occasions like a medal finish, a podium finish for France would be unlikely. But they've been able to put the poor start behind them. And a third place, a bronze medal for France. But Germany, spectacular once again. A really solid performance, missing key players, new names stepping up. And, well, the lack of experience from certain parts of the quartet on a World Cup circuit not showing at all. Sweden faltering, not to be today. They come over the line with Elvira Erberg in fifth. Switzerland, a brilliant fourth place. And, well, they continue to show really solid form ahead of the World Championships in Lenzerheide in February. But with the flag that she collected on her way into the finishing funnel and across the line, Franziska Preuss can celebrate. And, well, after witnessing German podiums for the past 2 days, they finally have someone on top spot. And the celebrations for the German fans will continue well into the night as we return for one final day tomorrow.
So good up, Franziska Preuss. You just thrilled a stadium full of your country people.
And Chad, you mentioned it, but what a story to go from the youngster on the team back in 2018, when they last won here in Ruhpolding, to being the experienced member, the one that all these new youngsters coming up from the IBU Cup are going to for advice and support, while she's on her own quest to take overall victory this season as well. It's a fight to the line between Finland and Canada, and neither wanting to give way. It's going to be very close indeed. And over the line first is Finland, just ahead of Canada in 8th and 9th respectively.
Two less experienced athletes there, Nadia Moser and Karen. Actually, a nice race for them. Not for a podium, but great experience for both of them as they develop as biathletes. And these relays really kind of season you as to the pressures of the sport. Ukraine into 10th.
We had 3 lap teams at 22.9 kilometres, so we should be finishing with 17.
Fastest leg, Julia Simone by 1.8 seconds over Franziska Preuss. Preuss giving up that prize money by celebrating, but I don't think she'll worry about that. I think the celebration was probably worth giving up that cash prize for the fastest leg.
No question there. She'll, of course, take the prize money as part of the winning team, and well, the opportunity to celebrate on home snow. And Chad, you say as well, particularly pertinent with everything she's gone through over the course of the last few seasons, having to end her season early for 2 consecutive seasons and come back and be the one to beat this season. It's those are the moments that money can't buy, the opportunity to celebrate like that with the flag that I don't think anyone's going to be able to take out of her hand. She's still got it there. You can see just as the results come in. Oh, she's actually passed it over. As, they celebrate with Ronaldo's celebration.
Two wins for Selena Grotjen in relays this season as well. But what a great opportunity and a great memory for Sophia Scherer, the first leg for Stephanie Scherer, excuse me, spends most of her time on the IBU Cup and comes up to the World Cup and gets on the top podium, scrambling for the Germans. A tough order for her on the day, and she delivered, and then some.
Well, we have 6 athletes now, Chad, who have gold medals from the relays this season, 6 German women. And again, you know, that just speaks to the depth of this squad. The fact that even though, of course, Julia Tannheimer, Vanessa Voigt not competing for the rest of this week, they still have the medals from Hopfilzen, and now even with those two absent, Sophia Schneider and Stephanie Scherer stepping up, and particularly, as we've mentioned on plenty of occasions, you know, the first World Cup weekend for Stephanie Scherer in 5 years. Really a strong performance, and she's well rewarded with a medal for her efforts over the course of the last couple of days.
I'm not sure if it's going to solidify her on the World Championship team. I'm not sure she's done enough to do that, but certainly fighting through the pressure and delivering this victory is not going to hurt her chances to be showing up in Munster High, at least as somebody they can throw into any of the relays, the single mix, the mixed relay, and this women's relay.
Not to be for Slovenia today, who come across the line in 16th. They were one of the few unchanged teams from Hopfilzen, where they had a spectacular 4th place finish, and couldn't back it up here in Ruhpolding. Czechia over the line with 3 visits to the penalty loop. They're our final team across the finish line, with Kazakhstan, Lithuania and the United States all being lapped. Celebration starting early amongst the crowd here in Ruhpolding. Germany top the podium. A excellent shooting day as well. Look at that, the 4 misses there, and no one in the top 10. Let's take a look. No one really coming close to the shooting performance that Germany had. Austria and Slovakia the next best with 5 misses each. But a truly dominant performance. Good day for Canada across the line in 9th. Finland, well, they started so well, but they'll use that as a big learning experience. Sweden, arguably the big shocks of the day. 1 visit to the penalty loop, 12 misses, finishing 66.3 seconds behind the time of our German quartet.
It's a fairly simple proposition in this relay. Keep the extra rounds to under 5, and you've got a pretty good shot at the top 3. Germany did that today. The Norwegians really overcoming quite a few missed shots. That's a bit of a surprise, especially the Swedes with only a couple more extra rounds, but that penalty loop, the amount of time that it takes to get those 3 shots off in a single stage and then go to the penalty loop is just so devastating that it doesn't really show up in the number of extra rounds the way a 0 plus 10 or 0 plus 12 does. That one matters. That one extra round, that penalty loop absolutely takes more time. And that's the difference for Sweden today.
Chad, it sets up the final day of action here in Ruhpolding perfectly tomorrow, doesn't it? Now 3 days in a row that we've had Germans on the podium, and well, they'll be hoping for more of the same tomorrow. It's the mass starts that they tackle with the first race, the men's 15k, getting underway at 12:30. But they'll certainly, the fans, well, they've been in good voice all week, but you imagine the excitement levels going up a notch again tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to end this week in Ruhpolding. A long week. It started Wednesday and ended on Sunday. Still 5 days. The longest, besides the World Cup opener week in Östersund or in Kontiolahti, which is the longest biathlon weekend of the year. It's not even a weekend. It's a full week, 5 days. And the mass start, it's always a great one.
Francie, congratulations. What a fantastic women relay. Amazing to win here at home, I guess, with the whole team.
Yes, it is. Also to have some seconds before the second place. So I tried to push as hard as I can to the last pre-time. And then into the stadium, I just tried to enjoy and inhale this atmosphere, and it was really great.
It was really a great team effort. So how do you, congrats to the teammates of yours as well.
Yeah, I think every one of us did a really, really good race. It's not so easy in front of the home crowd. The pressure is high, of course. Everyone wants to see a good race from us. But yeah, we handled it in a really good way, and I'm proud of all of us. And also the technicians did a really good job. We had amazing skis, and it was just fun to race today.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, thank you.
Chad, she sums up exactly what we were saying as she came, or just after she came across the line, that she gave away the prize money for the fastest leg by celebrating, but the fact that she's just mentioned that it was on her mind, that she wanted to give herself enough time to really celebrate with the fans and have that moment to soak it up. It's just testament to the kind of athlete that she is, and the reflections that she can take on, not being able to compete by external circumstances for the past couple of years to the level that she'd have wanted to.
Yeah, and she knows that these are fleeting moments. You don't know if you're ever going to have an opportunity like this again to do what she did today, to take Germany home across the line without a lot of pressure. And, to be able to revel in that a little bit, it's something she's earned over the course of a long career, and it's nice to see.
So the German team victorious for the first time since 2018 here in Ruhpolding, and giving the fans exactly what they want. Franziska Preuss back to her very best. We can take a look at the Women's Nation Cup score. After 13 competitions, it's France that lead the way from Germany, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland up into 5th, and Finland holding 8th. And Chad, she mentions handling the pressure. It's certainly something that the Germans have done quite well over the course of the last couple of days. It's something that Oliana Bjorndalen spoke about in his preview of the weekend over on the Biathlon World website, saying that the pressure will be very high, but they have to handle it, and they have more than done that over the course of the last 3 days.
Absolutely. I think that if you look at the at the spread of experience of this quartet that took home the win, Grotian just 20 years of age, she kind of solidified in second leg where the Germans would finish. But Stephanie Scher at 28 years of age, that's an odd career to be 28 and get your first shot at something like this happening in your career. Just the spread of the team, it just shows you that Germany has got a lot of cards to play going into the World Championships. And that's got to be exciting if you're one of the German coaches.
You look at Sophia Schneider as well, the 27-year-old who started this season on the IBU Cup. She joined up with the German team in Östersund as well. So it hasn't been, the start of the season where she's been on this the World Cup circuit with the German team, starting down on the IBU Cup, the second tier of biathlon racing, and then taking the step up. So it's really encouraging signs for this German team.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. I mean, one of the things that you're doing constantly is you're assessing and reassessing where you are as a head coach of a national team. A lot of times you're in charge of the actual training of everybody on the team. You're actually working with the personal coaches, trying to manage all these factors going into being in peak performance at the World Championships. And part of that is you need some level of success. You may not want to be at your best all the time. You probably can't be at your best all the time before the World Championships. You've got to find those points in where you're okay with a lack of success in the process of trying to get your best success at the time you want. And we're inside a month of the World Championships. The Germans, nobody here is really showing all their cards, but showing enough of their cards that to win the relay just gives them a lot of opportunities. And they know what they need to work on to be at the very peak in Lenzerheide for this relay.
Well, Ruhpolding will be the place to be tonight. Final day of action here in Germany tomorrow. Well, there'll be plenty of celebrations as well for the French fans amongst those in the crowd. A brilliant finish from the French team, who came back from well over a minute behind at times, and from 20th at one point. They were rock bottom and climbed their way back up for a podium finish today. Always good to see plenty of Breton flags as well, scattered amongst the crowd. It seemed to be wherever biathlon goes, there's French fans from Brittany who make the long trip from the westernmost tip at the north of France.
Yeah, if you look at the French performance today at the finish line, they're 25 seconds back. I mean, there's some celebration ahead of them, so it could have been further back. But the fact that Lou Jean Monod was not on the start order for the French team today tells you they've got that's a huge ace in their back pocket going into the World Championships for the women's relay. So I think they'll be happy with the result, even though they fell back quite a ways with the first leg of Paula Beauté. It's the first time for Paula Beauté doing this on a World Cup level, and that's just the way it goes. And she needed to rely on her more experienced French teammates to pull them back into contention, and they did.
I wonder who he supports them. Not evidently clear by any of the gear he's wearing.
Yeah, you see, Ruhpolding has become a very popular World Cup stop for Norwegian fans. It has been for about 25 years. You'll see a lot of Norwegian flags, and I think it's because it's just a nice place to take a trip to. Norway's a pretty nice place in itself, so when you're going to travel out of the country, you're going to go somewhere pretty beautiful, and somewhere where the hotels are nice and the food is great, and Ruhpolding ticks all those boxes. So you see a lot of Norwegians in Ruhpolding. You'll see a lot next weekend in Antwerp as well. The high mountain valley in northern Italy and sunshine there. The one thing that Ruhpolding kind of misses a little bit is it's deep in this valley, and by this time of day the sunshine has gone past, and you're in the shadows of these steep mountain peaks.
Well, a slight debate there about who will lead the team out, and it will be Stephanie Scherler as they go in the order of racing. The question, I think, from the other athletes was why doesn't Franziska Preuss go first? But they go out in their bib colours.
Arguably the biggest moment for anybody in this flower ceremony with the top three teams. Probably the biggest moment for Scherler, bib number 1 for Germany.
Welcome
the biggest thing she's ever achieved in biathlon.
Of the BMW IBU World Cup Biathlon 2025 in Ruhpolding.
He said to her a few weeks ago that she'd be back on the World Cup circuit, making her third start and taking a medal, and that's a gold one. I'm sure she potentially wouldn't have believed you. Franziska Preuss spotting some of the fans in the crowd.
From the president of the organization committee.
Yeah, amazing. Third start at 28 years of age on a World Cup, you get a gold in Ruhpolding. Announcing Magdalena Neuner, one of the, if not the greatest German biathlete ever to come through, giving the flower ceremony today. Magdalena Neuner retired at 25 years of age at the top of the sport.
So the French quartet of Paula Beauté, Ocean Michelon, Justine Blaissard-Boucher and Julia Simon stepping up to the podium. And a real sterling effort from them. I think there will be a level of disappointment from Paula Botte of how the relay started, but an excellent job to fight back for third.
Beppo's all the way around. There's Magdalena Neuner, one of the best to ever do the sport.
Second place, zweiter Platz, Norway.
They finished 10th here last season, and a real step up. That was a negative precursor this time last year, ahead of the World Championships, where they also finished 10th. But this time round, things looking up for Norway. And, very much like the teams of France and Germany, lots of rotation amongst their squad, but they've done enough to secure the silver medal. Carolina Norton, Juliana Clive, Malin Kirkheide and Ragnhild Fensteinovik. When we talk about first starts of the season, Chad, it was the first week that Ragnhild Fensteinovik has been back with the Norwegian team, and she stepped up, and she had to keep a cool head on that final lap, but enough to secure Norway the silver medal.
Yeah, it was a good performance by this Norwegian team. It's not a star-studded group by any means, but they all stood up and did their job. Nearly took the win.
But the win, well, it had to go one way, didn't it? And it is Germany who are back on top spot for the first time since 2018 in the women's relay.
Neuner, a part of that last relay team to win here. Oh, no, actually, she was actually back in 2010. But Neuner, you see, one of the greatest biathletes ever in the sport, but she only went to one Olympic Games and won a gold and 2 golds and a silver. And then hung it up. It was really an auspicious moment in the sport for a 25-year-old that good to retire so young, now 37 years of age. And she's absolutely thrilled that Germany is back on top of the podium.
Well, someone who was part of that team as a young up-and-coming star at that point was Franziska Preuss. Her role has now changed, but the performances she's laying down have only got more consistent, and this season she really is in the form of her life.
Yeah, it couldn't happen to somebody there's nobody more deserving of this moment, of this performance, and you can see it really means a lot to Franziska Preuss.
Dritter Platz, France, Paula Botte, ancien Michelin, Justine Blessas-Boucher und Julia Simon. Second place, Norway, Carolina.
Well, a really special moment for the German team. Back-to-back victories. They did it in Hochfilzen. They've done it on home snow here in Ruhpolding. And, well, the future is certainly very bright for this German team. And things are on the up. They are the team to beat as we head towards the World Championships in Lenzerheide. We will have one more opportunity for the relay teams to come out and show what they've got once again. That'll be in Antholz next week. It's the men's relay on the Saturday and the women's on the Sunday, and which is a bit of an interesting schedule. We start with the women's 7.5-kilometre sprint, the men's sprint the next day, then the women's pursuit, followed by the men's relay on the Saturday. The Sunday starts with the women's relay before the men's pursuit. But first, of course, we will be back once again tomorrow here in Ruhpolding, where it is the mass starts that take centre stage. The men's kicking us off 15 kilometres starting at 12:30 Central European time, followed by the women at 3 o'clock. A lovely shot of the stadium, and the stands still full as they celebrate and listen to the words from the German team. So victory for the German team on home snow today, 3 podiums in a row, and finally they stand on top spot. Back-to-back victories for the women's relay team. And we will be back tomorrow for the mass start, starting at 12:30 Central European time.